Hello everyone, greetings and salutations. My name is Damon Levinsky. I'm a 3D artist and today I want to talk about texturing using ZBrush. I'm fairly new to ZBrush. I've been using it for over a year now. I'm coming from Mudbox and Mari and many other texturing softwares. And I just recently started using ZBrush, and I just want to take you through a couple of steps which will take away a lot of your frustration. Now, ZBrush is a modeling software. It's not specifically for texturing, but it does have pretty good tools. You just got to keep a few rules down so you don't go through the frustration that I went through. I come from Mudbox. Mudbox is much easier to use. Its texturing system is very close to what Mari has. Not as powerful as Mari, but the cool thing is that you can sculpt and texture, which in Mari cannot do. So that's why I'm going to show you this today. So I'm going to start off by just bringing in a wall that I was creating for a game. Let's go find those objects. So I got these walls. Let's see, front wall, and just gonna draw this out. And there's T, and obviously let's just clean it out. F, and we just want to align this. So there we go. So as you can see, I got a wall here. Now the thing is that I find very frustrating in ZBrush is that even though the minute I do any kind of extrude or add detail, I lose my UVs. So when you basically going to texture something, make sure that you do not change the geo. That includes creating groups. I use groups for, using groups in ZBrush is a very useful thing. You can extrude, you can do all kind of cool things with it. But if you want to texture and maintain your UVs, do not use it. All right, you can go and use the plugin that creates its own new UVs. But if you're working for gaming and you got a model from somebody and all you want to do is texture, this is not, you're not allowed to do any changes to the mesh. You could only up res or bring down the resolution. So let's do that. All right, so first thing you want to do, especially if it's a wall, it's just a plane with, a few divisions. If you leave the smoothing on, the SMT, when you smooth, you see it will just lose its shape. So I'm going to undo that. So you want to turn that off and then create the divisions. So I'm just going to go about 9 divisions up and test it out, and I can see I'm getting a nice result. So by default it's already better. So I'm just going to show you that I got all of this data. Now the cool thing is because I added a line there because I wanted kind of an area where I can tell how high I want. Let's say I want some plaster here and the rest is going to be brick on the top area. So I can now just go and mask out the area that's going to be using the plaster. So actually I'm just going to revert that, sorry. Just going to revert it. There we go. So I could start the plaster bit first. So I want to kind of use a stencil. So to do that, I'm going to go into my texture file. You could find that up here if you're new to ZBrush, or you can dock it on the side here, which I have done and made my own settings. So that's what we got for now. So let's do that. So I'm going to go to import. Now I downloaded off cgtextures.com a whole library of stuff. So and categorized it nice and neatly. So now I got all of these lovely textures. So I got different types of plaster. I'm gonna actually use this one. maybe something that's, I think I got one that's kind of dry looking plaster, a little cracked. There we go. I'm going to open that one. And what I want to do is I want to load this into Spotlight. So Spotlight is the texturing, kind of creates like stencils and texturing utility. So I'm going to just press that, and I'm going to get this on. It's going to open Lightbox. We don't need that. For now, I'm going to just turn it off by pushing Shift Z, and it's going to go away because I got to do a few things prior to that. So I set up my stencil, everything's ready to go. Let's just now do a few changes. So I don't like painting on the red clay. Let's make this, let's turn all that off. Let's make it gray. I want a base color is white. We want to go to color up here, and I want to go to fill object. It's very important to do this because what it will do is create a kind of base coloring to the whole thing. I'll deselect that and do it again just so I make sure that I got the entire object. And I'll bring back my my wireframe, and I'll just do that again. Actually, that didn't come out very well. There we go. And turn that off. Alright, so now I can start sculpting. So the way I set up my brush, I'm going to press Z. We'll bring back my stencil. I want to, so the stencil is pretty cool. We can rotate. Oops, keep on doing that. I hate when I do that. Turn it back on. Alright, I'll press Z and to undo. So yeah, you can scale up and down. You could pin it. You can create like a brush. So the difference is, let's say if this is off and I start painting, it will leave the picture here. But if I move this over and go into the paint mode, it's just going to highlight where the brush is. And then there's all kind of other options that I'll go through as we go along. Like you can flip the image up or down. You can, if it's a tileable, you could create tiles. So let's say I try to keep it more or less the same. So let's say here I got several tiles. Let's make it, let's say about that. And then we can scale it up a bit, move it down. All right, I'm ready to paint. So basically what I want to do is, now I tiled it, I've put it where I want it to. I'm going to press Z again so I get into the paint mode. But I want to control how it's going to sculpt out, because right now if I start painting, it's just going to use my brush, and I don't want that. So I kind of want to use the stroke. So the stroke, as I pull away, it's going to pull out. And then I want to just dial down the intensity massively. So it'll take me a few strokes to add that detail. So now I'm getting all of that detail in very, very nicely. All right. Cool. So I'm very happy with this. Let's just make a little more detail in there. All right, so the next thing I want to do, I want to create a paint layer, or just paint it in. So I could just, press RGB there, remove the add, and just put the base paint on it, because we're going to add more detail later. All right, so I'm pretty happy with this. I'm going to hold down Control and tap so we get the other side. So press Z again, and now I want to load another image. So I'm going to go Import, and this time I'm going to go into Brick. Should have bricks here somewhere. There you go, bricks. And I actually should have, there we go, I got these guys here that, yeah, they're from the same family. They actually have coloring. I'm going to use this one. It's the same. Alright, I'm just going to use this grayscale one so we can kind of extrude it out. And I think these three are from the same family, so we can use that. So it's going to add another file into my spotlight. And because this is tileable, I can now tile it. And again, you can just dial in the amount of, say, bricks we want to add. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it more or less the same amount. So that's pretty cool. Let's make that higher amount. I'm going to actually scale it until I get something like so. Alright, cool. Hold down just tap Z so we can get into the paint mode. So now I'm just painting in. I don't want to paint. I want to, oops. I'm going to make sure. Okay, that's perfect. I want Z add. And I'm just going to lightly add in the bricks. Now, notice that I don't move my camera because you're never able to match the positioning. Alright, so now I could just go to the add paint. You could do these together. I just like to see the depth first. And I can paint in that. Actually, I do have the original color for that one, so let's just use this instead. You tap on it so it loads here, press the add to spotlight, close that. I'm going to scale it up a bit. And as I recall, I did about that much. There you go. And all I need to do is kind of align them to match. It's not always the easiest thing to do. I think that's fairly close. Press Z. There we go. And I've painted that in. I think I've moved that over a little too much. Just scale that. There we go. Alright. So I'm fairly done with just the basic colors. The one thing that I find that I don't like about the system is that I cannot fill the deeper areas. So let's say now if I wanted to sculpt, now if I wanted to paint, I have to kind of paint first the dark area, which will fill in the cracks, and then go over the higher areas and paint it. I haven't found any way of kind of filling in the cracks. Mudbox does have a tool that does that. It's called a dry brush. So there's no real dry brush option. Alright, so I want to add some detail, and to do the detailing I actually want an option of layering. So you can open your layers and add the layers, and the minute you get this little record button you can start adding some detailing. So let's do that. I'm gonna go import. I actually have some decals I can use, or actually I will start with the plaster, so I could go back down to plaster. Where is it? There we go. And in the plaster I do have like different types of broken down mushroom infected plaster that I can use. So how about we use this one? And again, I just have to choose that, load it in, turn off the light box. This one I don't need to do, let's just do that. Yeah. This one I don't need to do too much changes. There we go, something like this. And now because it's a layer, I could start painting in. Just mask that out again, something like that. So I could start, just masking that out. Press Z again, move it over, something like this. And then I could turn off the mask and then just dial it down so I can get the previous detail coming up, so we're getting kind of an overlay. Now, sadly, unlike in Mudbox and Mari, you can actually put like different filters on it. This doesn't have that. So if you really want to do like cool looking extra detailing, I would just at this stage bake all down, so it's now baked into the texture. Go down to texture map, create from polypaint. So now I got that here. You will now clone it to the other side. You want to flip it if it's going to Maya, and then you can go export and just save it out into the correct folder. You could also, and then you will take this into Mari, let's say, and you already have a base layer to start off. And you will go to your displacement and you'll create a displacement. I have to be on the lower layer. So we're going to have to go to geometry, dial down to the lowest layer. Now I can go to displacement, create and export. We just want to create a displacement, clone it, do exactly the same thing. And same thing goes to the normals. Just want to press that, clone it, go over here, flip it, and send that over. And that's it. And then with that, in about 15 minutes, I showed you how to texture some more complex texturing workflow in ZBrush. I hope this is helpful for you guys, because I didn't find any good texturing tutorials on the internet. It was like, oh, you could use polypaint, you could use this, you could use that, but this is actually a workflow that I found that is actually not too bad, and I can texture a whole lot of, do more complex textures in ZBrush before I go out to any other software for the final workflow. So with that being said, I wish you a ZBrush of a time, and see you around.